Welcome back to CM's Garage. Today we're in the garage with the Lawnboy 3052, early 1960s Buttercup yellow. Today we're going to go ahead and get started on the restoration of this mower. I bought it about a year ago. I did a couple videos on it, a will it run, and also like a mowing demonstration video. I did put new wheels on it, stuff like that. So if you haven't watched those, go back and watch those. Today though, we are going to get started and completely restore this mower. It runs and works flawlessly. It just needs to be completely taken apart, all new paint, clear coat, and then the motor we'll just disassemble the motor, put it in the parts washer, get the motor cleaned up, and paint some parts on there. So should be more of like just a complete like cosmetic type restoration. Like I said, it runs and works well. So it's been too long. I've had this mower sitting in queue behind all my other projects. So today we're gonna go ahead and get started on it. Thanks for coming back to the channel. Let's do this.
Okay, so I'm starting the disassembly. I'm removing the choke lever from the carburetor. Now I get started on removing the shroud by removing the 2 bolts in the front and 1 bolt under the gas tank, or a screw. Alright, at this point I'm taking the shroud off, and I'm gonna go ahead and start removing the handle from the mower. Alright, so the handle comes off pretty easily. Next, I'm going to get started on the carburetor removal. There's 4 bolts that hold the carburetor on. And the carburetor comes off, and I'll point out here in a second the reed valves, which are in good shape. Like I said, this mower was running really well, cutting the grass with it. Now I'm going ahead and removing the blade and the muffler. There's 2 bolts and nuts that hold the muffler on. Now I'm removing the 3 bolts that hold the engine onto the muffler plate. These are the nuts on the bottom of the muffler plate. Now I'm using a puller to get that plate off the bottom of the crankshaft that's pressed onto the crankshaft. Off comes the engine. And now I'm going ahead and removing the bolts that hold the muffler plate onto the deck. Alright, the muffler plate comes off. We're going to go ahead and flip the mower over. I'm going to remove the brackets that hold the handle in place. We'll go ahead and get those off. Now I'm going to go ahead and get started on removing the wheels.
Okay, so there you go. Besides the engine, we got the mower completely disassembled. I'm gonna try and use this paint stripper. The last mower we did, I did the sandblasting, and it works well, but it's just a huge mess and a lot of setup. So I'm gonna go ahead and try the paint stripper instead this time. So right now we're gonna go ahead and get this stripped down and also get the parts in the ultrasonic cleaner to get them degreased. We're here at the ultrasonic cleaner. Got some greasy parts in here. Let's get this thing set up.
Okay, so I've got the paint stripped off the deck, the shroud, and you'll see the gas tank here in a second. At this point, we're gonna go ahead and get these painted up.
Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and put some white primer on it first, on top of the shroud here.
Okay, the paint I'm using to replicate the Buttercup yellow is Rust-Oleum Satin Straw Flower. So at this point, I've got the deck, the shroud, and the gas tank painted. I'm starting to remove paint from the handlebar and the other small painted parts of the mower. Removing paint off of this was not easy. I ended up using a combination of paint stripper, sandblasting. My sandblaster's not very good, so that didn't do much good at all. And then I eventually just ended up using the wire brush on the grinder that I have, and that really removed the paint pretty quickly and fairly painless. So you'll see me remove the rest of the paint here, and then we'll go ahead and get started right now priming the handlebar and the rest of the parts. Okay, so I ran out of the gray primer that I was using, so now we're using a green ultra flat primer. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead after we prime these parts, and you can see me there spraying the yellow, which is Rust-Oleum's Satin Straw Flower, it's called. And I found that to be very close to the Buttercup yellow that was originally on the mower. So once we get all the parts painted yellow, I'll give that a good time to dry, and then I'm going to go ahead and use the new 2-part epoxy clear on this mower. I've used it in the past, but this is the first time I'm using it on one of these Lawnboy restorations. Okay, so we've got all the parts painted with the Buttercup yellow. I've got them all nicely laid out. We're going to use that 2-part epoxy clear to put a nice clear coat on it. There's the handle and our gas tank.
Okay, so now that we've got all the mower parts painted yellow that we want yellow, I want to go ahead and put a clear coat on there. So I've got this 2-part clear coat made by Spray Max. In order to mix the hardener with the paint, you pop this red cap off the top, you put this cap on the bottom, and that releases the hardener as you push down on the can. So we'll go ahead and do that. Let's get some clear coat on it.
All right, so we've got the Spray Max here. I'm gonna go ahead and place the cap on the bottom. Okay, now the cap's on the bottom. We're gonna push it down. There we go, so now that releases the hardener. You hear that click. Pick it up for about a minute.
So we've got everything cleared. The next thing I'm gonna do is put some decals, some reproduction decals on the shroud.
Okay, so I picked up these decals on eBay. Let's go ahead and get them put on. We'll start with our front one on the shroud. Okay, now for our side decal. All right, now for the opposite side.
Yeah, I think we got that perfect. Okay, so the gas tank has a decal that talks about how to start the mower. There we go. All right, well, thanks for coming back to CM's Garage and watching part 1 of the Lawnboy 3052 restoration. I'm pretty happy with the way the paint job came out. For part 2, I'm gonna go ahead and get this engine cleaned up. We'll paint some parts on here. It was running really well when I took the mower apart, so no real reason to do anything mechanical. We'll just take it apart, get it cleaned up, get this cylinder head painted, flywheel painted, and then everything else degreased. So I appreciate you watching again. Thank you. Come back for part 2. We'll see you later.